Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the cap round 1 strategy. So as you must be aware, the CET cell has announced the final merit list and the provisional seat matrix, and the cap round 1 has started, wherein you need to fill the preferences for the colleges. So in this video, we'll be talking about the entire strategy and how do you fill your preferences and what happens after you get an allotment. So let's get started. So a few important things before we get into the exact strategy. The provisional seat distribution, which is nothing but the seat matrix that has been announced, and you can find it on the CAP website. So when you go to the CET cell website, go to MBA MMS and the CAP round. So through that, you will be able to download this seat matrix, which will tell you how many seats are there in each of the categories in each of the colleges. The final merit list for admission for both the Maharashtra state candidates and for all India candidates, that has also been announced. So you can download this and figure out what is your final merit rank that you have got. Now this is something which is very important because this will be used for subsequent admission. So here the provisional seat matrix, you can download that, and the cutoff list for last year that has been given for cap round 1 and cap round 2. So when you're filling your preferences, the best thing to do is to look at both cap round 1 and cap round 2 documents to see what exactly happened last year. So what was the cap round 1 cutoff like and what was the cap round 2 cutoff like, to understand whether you will have a chance at certain institute or not. Please note that this just indicates your chance and things can always change because the number of aspirants falling into a particular category will be different. However, if you use your general merit number and your category merit number well, you will be able to strategize better. Now let me show you how to read those documents. So let's say you open one of these documents, and I've opened it for the first round. And here you will be able to see that there are multiple things that are given, and it definitely might get a little confusing. However, what you need to look at is what is your category, and within that category, what was the cutoff. So when you're looking at the cutoff, look at the general merit number, right? So that is the first thing that you will see. For example, when you look at this one, which is G Open H, this is essentially open category home university candidate. So the H at the end indicates home university, and if you have O at the end, that indicates outside home university. So what you need to look at is this number. So for example, 295. So a person by the rank 295 was able to get an admission into this particular college in the first round. That is how you read it. Let's say, for example, somebody who belongs to OBC category and a home university candidate. Then at the rank of 736, the person was able to get into this particular institute. The percentile cutoffs which are given in the bracket below, they might not be that useful. So you might not be able to figure out because ultimately the number of seats that are available in a college is an absolute number. So that is why looking at the percentile might not give you the best picture. It is better to look at the rank. So the general merit rank and the category merit rank to get a better sense of this. Now here you will be able to see a lot of other things as well, such as home university seats allotted to other than home university allotted to OHU candidates, state level seats, which are EWS and TFWS cutoffs. You just need to figure out which category you are applying into. And for that particular category, what is the rank cutoff for that particular college in cap round 1 and cap round 2. So now, having discussed how do you read those documents, let's also talk about the important dates here. So the display of the final merit list and the provisional category-wise seats has already happened. Now the online submission and confirmation of option form of cap round 1, which is what we are discussing. So that is something that you need to do from 20th to 25th. So it has started today and you need to go on and do it by the 25th. So this is an online process. You don't have to really go somewhere and do it. But now the first thing that you'll have to do is select the preferences that you want to do. Now, once you do this and the entire process, the form filling is done by the end of the 25th, right? So they are going to look at the preferences that people have put, and there is a system in place which will do the allotment. So the display of provisional allotment will happen on the 20th. So you'll be able to see which college has been allotted to you. Now, post this, you need to accept the offered seat, and this has to be done through your login. And this is to be done before 31st of October. So it will start from the 29th and go on till 31st. And then reporting to the allotted institute and confirmation of admission also needs to be completed in this same period. So you accept it through the online dashboard, and then you actually go to the institute and make the payment, submit the required documents, and that is how you will be able to finalize the seat that you have got. So this is how the process is going to be. Now let's talk about the strategy part of it. So when we talk about entering preferences of colleges, what you need to keep in mind is that the first preference that you put is going to be the most important one, because if you put a wrong preference here and let's say you get allotted this particular preference, you have to confirm your seat. You will not be able to participate in getting a better seat or subsequent rounds. So please understand the process very well and then only put your preferences. So this first preference that you put, right, you can put minimum of 1 and maximum of 300 choices in the cap form. Of course, nobody will end up putting so many choices. You will be selective and you will put the colleges that you really want to get into. But when you do the first preference, the first option that you put, be very, very careful. This should be an aspirational college for you. This is the best college that you are looking forward to. For example, somebody who, let's say, has a chance of getting a Wellinker in the first round should still be putting first preference as IMS. Because now, if let's say you put Wellinker as the first preference and you get allotted that particular college, you will not be able to participate in subsequent rounds. And that is why be very careful with respect to the first preference that you put. So how do I decide what colleges should I put, right? I know now that, okay, I have to put between 1 to 300 preferences. But how do I decide which colleges I should be putting? So here again, let me take you back to those cutoff documents and show you how do you decide the order in which I'm supposed to put it. Even in the description of this video, we'll give you a link to a document from where you will be able to download all these documents. Plus, we'll give you a list of colleges with their cutoffs. So you can go through it and then decide what the order should be. So the best way to actually understand the CET ranking is by the cutoffs. And the document which will really help you in this particular manner is going to be the CET cell cutoff document for all India candidates. See, what happens when you look at the Maharashtra state cutoffs, you will not be able to get the exact picture because first of all, putting it in one place is itself very difficult. Different category wise cutoffs and so on. And there are a lot of fluctuations there. But when you look at the all India cutoffs, because first of all, there are limited seats and it is given in terms of percentile nicely, it is easier to find what is the ranking of the colleges. So for example, when you look at the cutoff document, you will see that JBIMS is at the top. And that is because people have been preferring it. That becomes the first preference that most of the people have. That is what they want to get it. So 99.97, that was the cutoff last year for cap round 1. In cap round 1 for Sydenham, the cutoff was 99.86. So I'm talking about all India candidates. But please note that if you follow this order, this is the CET ranking. A lot of times students ask us, what is the ranking of CET, which is the best college, which is the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 10th rank college. This is the ranking that you're supposed to have. So when you look at these colleges, right, 3rd would be Wellinker at 99.76 in the first round, then SIES, then Pumba, then College of Engineering Pune, which was a new entrant, very recently sort of came into this entire centralized admission process. Then the St. Xavier's College, then the Chetnas, and so on. So if you look at this document and the order, you know what CET ranking is. And that is how you fill your preferences. So let's say you are somebody who has got, let's say, 99 percentile, okay? And you're filling your form in All India. Now at 99, in the first round, you have a very good shot at, say, MET. Because MET cutoff was 98.89 last year. So at 99 percentile, certainly you're going to get MET. Now, the aspirational colleges for you are above this, right? So JBIMS, Sydenham, Wellinker, SIES, those are the colleges that you want to try for. But let's say if you put your first preference as MET, it will get auto-locked, which means that if you get college as MET, you will not be able to participate in subsequent rounds to get a better institute. And that is why you should not be putting MET as the first preference, because you know that you're certainly going to get. So what I will do is, I know that for me, let's say, if I'm at 99 percentile, Chetnas becomes slightly aspirational, right? So I have, that is as the next thing, 99.25 was the cutoff last year. But then above that is St. Xavier's, or above that is College of Engineering Pune and Pumba and so on. So let me put those colleges as my preferences. So now I know at 99 percentile, I'm not going to get JBMS. So there's no point putting JBMS as the first preference. But can I at least try for, say, an SIES or a Pumbaa or a COEP or a St. Xavier's, putting those as my first few preferences. And then once I get MET, I can at least participate in subsequent rounds and get a better institute. So that is the strategy that you need to follow. Don't put first preference as a thing that you're definitely going to get. But let's say you are somebody who is sitting at the top, right? You have already got, let's say, a 99.98 percentile. You can actually fill only JBMS as your preference and you're done, right? Because you know that last year first round cutoff was 99.97. At 99.98, you will most certainly get it. So then you can of course do JBMS as the first one. Let's say you are sitting somewhere in between. Let's say you are at a 99.8 percentile. What should be your order? Your order should be simply JBMS as number 1, Sydenham as number 2, Wellinger as number 3, SIS as number 4, right? And you're done. Those are the 4 preferences that you can put. If you want, you could have even done, let's say, only 3 or 5 or 6, whatever. That number is up to you. That final thing is your threshold. So you decide that, okay, I'm not going to put more than 10 preferences. Okay, that is an individual choice. But what we recommend is that you follow a method, you follow this order. That will be the easiest thing to do. Okay, so I hope everybody has understood this. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments and we'll be happy to answer those. Now let's talk about the process after this. So as I spoke about this some time back, once you get a particular seat allotted to you, you have to accept the declaration through your login. So candidates who have been allotted the seat as per their first preference in round 1, that becomes auto-freezed. So you need to pay the seat acceptance fee in that case through the online login, and such candidates shall not be eligible for participation in subsequent rounds. And that is why I said the first preference should be an aspirational for you. This is something that you want to get into, but you might not be able to. But you still want to try for it, and that is why your first preference, be very, very careful with that. Now, there are 2 more cases that are possible. One is you get something which is other than your first preference and you end up freezing it. And by the way, you're not supposed to do it. So candidate must exercise this option carefully. So we have written this warning and notice for you. So what we are trying to say here, let's say you have put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? These are the preferences that you have put. And let's say you get this particular college allotted to you. Now, if you click on freeze, what you're trying to say is that I am okay with this particular college. I don't want to participate in the next round to get a better institute. And that is why this strategy is not recommended to anybody. So if you've got other than first preference, do not click on freeze. What you instead need to do is do the second thing which is written here. So if you have been allotted a seat which is other than first preference and you want to participate in a betterment round, what we mean by betterment is getting a college which you have put above as the preference, then you need to accept the seat by choosing not freeze option. So you will have to pay the seat acceptance fee, which is like putting your claim on it that I'm reserving this seat, but I still want to participate in a better round. And that is why you need to do a not freeze if you have been allotted a preference which is other than first preference and you want betterment in the subsequent round. So this is the recommended strategy that we have for people who get something which is as an allotment, which is other than the first preference. So some of you may be wondering what happens if I don't get an allotment, and can that happen? That can definitely happen. Let's say you are at 90 percentile and you put only 10 preferences in your option form and all these 10 colleges have cutoffs above 95 percentile. What is going to happen? You're not going to get any college allotted to you. In that case, you can participate in subsequent rounds, but make sure that you then put preferences where you'll actually get a shot at that particular institute. So that is why all those documents that are there in terms of the AI cutoffs and the Maharashtra cutoffs are very important, because that will help you to figure out where do I have a very good chance or where do I have a somewhat moderate chance. And basis that you're supposed to put the college preferences. Now, once you get a seat allotted, right, candidates who have accepted the seat must report to the allotted institute for confirmation of admission. So let's say you fill Sydenham as the preference and you get Sydenham allotted. Now you want to join Sydenham. So what do you do once the allotment happens? You go to that particular institute, you make the payment, you do the confirmation of admission by submission of documents and all those things. The institute is going to verify the documents, right, and upload the admission of the candidate in the online system. And once this happens, right, they're going to give you a receipt of confirmation. And once that happens, you're out of the cap process, right? Let's say you have got Sydenham as the first preference that you put, you got Sydenham, you went there and you are like, fine, I'm going to get only Sydenham, I might not be able to get JB, right? Then you go and do the confirmation of admission, right? So this is for people who have accepted the seat and do not want to participate in the betterment. But if you want to participate in the betterment, then you will have to put the first preference as an aspirational one, indicate that you want to participate by not doing freeze, right? So don't click on freeze, but you'll have to say not freeze and you want to participate in the better round, right? So that is what strategy is going to be for this particular round. So let's now go through a quick summary of what we discussed. When you put the first preference and if you get allotted that particular preferred institute, it is mandatory by cap rules that it becomes auto freeze and you have to pay the seat acceptance fee and report to allotted institute. College gets confirmed, no further change possible in this particular case. And that is why be very careful with the first preference that you put. Will you be able to participate in subsequent rounds then? The answer is no. Let's say you have put these preferences and you get some college which is rank number 4. Allotted seat other than first preference. What you should be doing is trying for betterment in the subsequent round. So this is the recommended strategy. Click on not freeze for the betterment. You will have to put a claim on the seat by paying the seat acceptance fee. The impact of this is that your seat gets confirmed and better college is possible in subsequent cap rounds. So you're eligible for subsequent cap round when you employ this particular strategy. What is definitely not recommended is when you get a seat other than first preference and you say that, okay, I'm done, this is what I'm freezing, I'm happy with it. So always go for the third option that we have given in that column. If you are getting a seat allotted, which is not your first preference, try for betterment. So I hope you have got a sense of how this entire process works. If you have any questions, put it in the comment. I'll be very happy to take those questions and give you some suggestions as to what can be done. In terms of what order to follow while putting your preferences, as already mentioned, go through the documents that you will find in the description. You can also go through documents on the CET cell website, wherein you figure out what the cutoffs were. I've already shown you how to read those documents and go through it and decide your strategy. Make sure that you talk to somebody, show preferences that you have written to your mentors and get guidance from them, and then only submit the cap form. So I hope this video has helped you guys. Wish all of you all the best for cap round 1. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next one.